I work at a cafe in downtown. Quite a few homeless shelters in range, and a huge drug problem. One day I'm working behind the bar. And this redhead kid, probably in his early 20s, sits down in our seating area and starts chanting shit under his breath. After a minute or two, he starts moving his hands around like he's casting a spell. He then gets up, starts yelling and disturbing everyone. I walk over to him and tell him he needs to leave for the day. Dude looks me straight in the eye and says, "This is all a giant game. I'll fucking kill you with one finger." At this point, whatever, I get death threats a lot down here, no biggie. Shoot him on his way and that's that. Fast forward to when we're closing up. Around 9 p.m. Not technically night shift, but it gets dark up here, so it counts. I shut the doors and begin walking to the parking garage where my car is parked. It's only about 6 blocks away, so it's not a big deal. Winter is quite dark up here, so downtown is already somewhat eerie. After about a block or two of walking, I hear this hissing sound. I freak out because I can't see anyone. I quicken my speed when I hear rapid footsteps in the snow behind me. Fuck that. I booked it to the garage staircase, since I wasn't going to wait for the elevator. I'm about halfway up the stairs when I hear the door I just passed through slam shut. I finally make it to my car and try to get in as quickly as possible. I look around, and there he is, the redhead from earlier. Except this time he's enraged. He spots me in my car and accelerates to full speed, slamming his fists into the glass, yelling, "I'm going to fucking kill you." I slammed the door in his face and drove the fuck away. The next morning, I called the cops, and they found him. He apparently believes he is a member of the Illuminati, and entirely corroborated my story to the cops. After a short time in jail and one restraining order, I never saw him again. I've been working at the same hospital since 2000, and have numerous things to tell. The best one took place in the autopsy room. I was a patient transporter at the time, and I was transporting a deceased person to the morgue. We worked in groups of 2. And I had one friend with me. We had both done this many times before, so the creepiness was non-existent. This time, though, was a one-of-a-kind event. When you walk into the morgue, there's a second door on the left that leads to the autopsy room. When the pathologist was working, it was occasionally left open, but this was a night shift, and everything was supposed to be closed up tight. On this night, my friend and I enter the morgue and hear a faint ringing, almost like an alarm, coming from the autopsy room. We were both concerned and went to look into it. As mentioned before, the door is generally locked. I approach the door, pull on the doorknob, and it opens. We hear a fast plastic bag-like rustle as I open it. I lock the door as my friend yells. We're both terrified, so I recommend calling security in case there's a weirdo inside who knows. My imagination ran wild. We are met by security and led into the autopsy room. The alarm turns out to be the phone, which is constantly ringing with no rest between rings. I've worked there for so long that I know these phones don't do that. When I picked it up, it was dead, with no dial tone. I hang up the phone and listen again, and the dial tones have returned. Weird. The strangest item was a linen bag full of filthy linens placing in the middle of the room. I believe this was the sound we heard when we opened the door, almost as if it had been dropped from a great height just as we opened the door. We searched the room thoroughly and found no one there to make the noise. It was quite unsettling. Not exactly night shift, but as a bartender, I'm usually heading home around 2 to 4 in the morning on a slow Monday night. We were about to close the restaurant when a seemingly homeless woman walked into the bar. She continued slowly and silently heading toward the bar, staring straight ahead with a blank face. As she approached, we saw she was unique for a homeless woman. Her skin had turned gray. I've never seen a skin tone like hers before. It wasn't filthy, old, or tanned. It was a very light gray that was tight and wrinkle-free. She also got 4 lines tattooed on her face, which began in the center of her chin and ran down her neck in a ray-like pattern. She walked around without shoes on when she got to the bar. She tried to get a seat when my manager yelled again, "Hey, we're closing up. You also cannot enter without shoes. You should leave right now." She sat down again, then gently turned her head to mine, locking eyes with me and saying, "I like you." At this point, my finger was on the bar panic button. Most bars have them, so they can get immediate police response. Our bouncer finally made his way over and put his hand on her shoulder to ask her to leave. The minute he touched her, she broke out into this extremely loud, high-pitched, manic scream. It was like a scream out of a horror movie. What made it creepier is the whole time she was screaming, she was looking at me, dead in the eye without blinking. She wasn't moving. So my bouncer went to forcibly remove her from the bar. I pushed the panic button and watched my bouncer pull away this woman as she was screaming uncontrollably, all while staring straight at me. The police came quickly and took the woman away. To this day, that is still the creepiest night I've ever had at work.